What's going on, everybody? Welcome to Sid's Little Corner of the Internet. We've got another Transformers review coming your way. This time around, we're going to be taking a look at the Transformers Kingdom War for Cybertron Ultra Magnus. So before I get started, first let me tell you that there's going to be some camera adjustments here just simply because of the size of the box. It's a liter box, so we're going to take a look at that packaging, but first, before we do that, I'm going to need to adjust my camera up in order to give you guys a nice look at that. So bear with me while the camera gets a little shaky. So we're going to bring that camera up, and then we're going to bring that packaging in so you can take a look. Right there at the top, you've got Ultra Magnus. Down here, you have Transformers Kingdom War for Cybertron Trilogy. Transformers up the side. You have that Kingdom artwork on the side. On the back, you have all your product shots. Ultra Magnus right there. 21 steps for that one, 12 steps for that one, and 16 steps for that one. You have all your warnings down here at the bottom, and you have the sad baby. Down here, you see that he is a leader class, and we will turn it at an angle so you can get a nice look at that Kingdom artwork. I really do like what they're doing here with this artwork. I think it looks great. And up at the top, you have the Autobot logo and War for Cybertron Kingdom 20. And down at the bottom, you have some manufacturing information. So that's it for the outside of the packaging, and I'm going to adjust my camera down a little bit, and then we will talk about what came in that package. So let's bring that down and set that up so we can get a good look at everything here when the time is right. So first and foremost, always my favorite, you have that. Great. Next, you have the instructions. And of course, because this is a Kingdom figure, you do get a card. This time around, I got the Arc. So this is only the second Arc that I have. At least it's not Dinobot, because I do have more than a few of those. So, very cool. Alright, and as far as accessories go, I have the accessories on the vehicle mode right now, and one of the reasons that I'm starting with the vehicle mode is I thought it might be easier to do some vehicle mode comparisons first and get those out of the way, or particularly one vehicle mode comparison. So the two accessories that he comes with, or the two sets of accessories, excuse me, he comes with a total of 3. He has his big old rifle, which is the standard issue rifle for an Ultra Magnus in the War for Cybertron line. The only thing that changes is the color of the gun. You've had dark gray, you've had silver, and now you have this gunmetal gray. And then, of course, he has the missile pods. And you have a left and right of these. They do not fire, but they are nicely painted. And just hollowed out on the inside, but you're not really going to see it. They did put a little bit of detail on the inside, which is nice. So the little touches like that I do appreciate. All right, let's go ahead and take that other missile pod off, and then we will take a look at the details for the vehicle mode here. So the first thing you'll notice is that he actually looks like an Earth semi, which is nice because he's going to be on Earth for Kingdom in some fashion or another. And you've got that Autobot symbol right there in the front. Got that grille decked out and the headlights highlighted there, even the painted wipers, and that nice blue, smoky blue, transparent or translucent plastic. And here on the side, you do have some nice details for the cab. You've got this little ladder section right here. We'll talk about that in robot mode as well, because the booty on Kingdom Ultra Magnus is a little bit different and slightly larger than the booty on the Siege Ultra Magnus. And good detail here. Not enough to really make it look like a semi, but at least it keeps it nice and busy. And then you've got these big old hands hanging out. Now, the instructions call for the hands to be oriented this way. You could make an argument to turn them a little bit. If I can get in there without destroying everything. There we go. So you could make an argument to turn them like that, and then they don't look so bad, but you still got the big gaping hand holes in the top. So it's really up to you. He does have different wheels than the Siege, and I think these turned out really nice. I like the way these look. Good detailing on the side here for the car mode, the car hauler mode, excuse me. And on the back, pretty much just his shins and his feet sitting there at an angle. And then there you have the left side. And got to straighten up what I did here. There we go. And there you have the top and the bottom. All right, so let's park him there. You do also get this insert. I forgot about it, but it's pretty basic. There's not a whole lot to see there. That's just the big golden disc insert that comes in all the Kingdom packages. Okay, so for comparison here, we're really only going to bring in a couple of comparisons. I wanted to bring in the Siege Ultra Magnus in his vehicle mode so you can see the Kingdom and the Siege side by side. Back those up a little bit so we can get them in frame. So there are a lot of similarities, and I'll be honest with you. When I heard that the Kingdom release was going to have a leader Ultra Magnus, I thought, here we go again. It's just going to be a repaint. I'm not going to waste my time. I'm not going to spend the money. But he is different enough that you can differentiate between the two, and I appreciate what they've done with the Kingdom Ultra Magnus. All right, so let's do a side-by-side here, or next to one next to another, if we can fit it all in frame. There you go. And he has all of his accessories on. I probably should take those off, at least on one side, so you can see a little more clearly what all that looks like. There you go. All right, and from the back, nearly identical here. And from the top, so you can see that Kingdom, just the configuration of the cab, Kingdom has more length than Siege does. The cab on Siege just gets tucked in a little bit more. All right, and then let's bring those guys in for some close-ups here on the cabs, so you can see the differences there. So there's definitely been a significant redo to go from the Siege look here to the Kingdom look here. Let me see if I can stack those guys up and do a cab side by side. Ooh, this is precarious. All right, and the molding on the car carrier mode as well. Just stack them up like that so you can see. So there are some molding differences here between the two car carrier modes on Ultra Magnus. So they have done a considerable amount of retooling. Yes, there's a lot of shared components, but I think they made a lot of changes where it counts. All right. Now, I'm going to keep him right here next to us because what we're going to do is we will start the transformation here. There's really no articulation to speak of in this mode. He's not on a hitch, so it's just a fixed position right there. So, you know, you're not going to turn the cab or do anything like that. But we will do the transformation. I'm going to lower that camera just a little bit more, guys. Bear with me. So we're going to get started on the transformation here, and then I'm going to keep this guy around so we can compare the Albino Primes. All right, so for transformation on this guy, what you're going to do is you're going to lift this section up and get that out of the way, and then you have a couple of latches here, right here and right here, that you're going to pop loose on either side. So you're just going to give those a little bit of a pull. I will say that these latches on the front latch very securely. It's kind of scary. And pull this one. There we go. And that releases Ultra Magnus, and then this is, or the cab, this is what he looks like. So you have these, the stacks are actually still connected. These just sit loose in here. They don't connect to anything. So when you pull those legs apart or just pull these out, then those stacks are just going to be set off separately. So there you have just the cab. And I guess what we could do here is we could do the same thing with Siege. And we'll just pull his cab apart. And since this isn't your show, buddy, I'm not going to go into a whole lot of detail what we need to do with you. I'm just going to get you out of there. All right, now we can set this off to the side. So now we have the two truck cabs that we can get a little bit more of a close-up on. Of course, we've seen the front. And if you want to see them side by side, do it this way. So you can get a nice side-by-side look of the two right there. And get a look at the top. And we'll do a look at the bottom. So same fundamental transformation, same basic engineering, just some remolded parts between the two. So for the Kingdom Ultra Magnus, what you want to do is you can just spread those legs apart and bring those down. Kick out those heel spurs. And then for the arms, just going to open those up right there. And don't snap them in yet, because the next thing that you're going to need to do is pull on this cab so you can get the Albino Prime head out. And then close that cab up. And then you can do the 180-degree twist. And then you will, the upper part of this body is on a slider, so you're just going to slide that together so he's sitting flush in the front now, and then you can raise up this lower section of the cab, and now it's just a smaller backpack. And then you can connect those arms and position his hands as they should be. And there you have Albino Prime Ultra Magnus base mode in his robot mode. Okay, so let's get the Siege Albino transformed so that way you can see some side-by-side on those two guys. It's the same basic transformation here between the two. So not a whole lot of excitement. Except when I can't get his booty lined up. I get that raised where it needs to be. Let's do that first. There we go. And open those hands up. And there you go. So now we have the two Albino Primes side by side, so you can take a look there. And let's get your, there we go. Okay, so let's bring these guys in for a close-up and take a look here. So the head sculpt, as far as I can tell, the two head sculpts are the same. It's just different paint apps. So on Siege, you have the crown, and the entire mask is blue. Over here, the crown has silver, and the face mask or the mouth mask part is blue, and the rest is white. And of course, the chest is different. And the crotch piece right here is the same on this side. It's just different paint apps. So these are molded the same on this side. However, for the Ultra Magnus side, we'll flip those around real quick and you can take a look. They are different between the two belts. Or the two belts, the two crotch pieces. I say belts because this reminds me of a WWE Championship belt. So that's where my Freudian slip came from, if you were wondering. And the legs are shared between the two. The only difference is just paint apps. Arms are shared between the two. Like we stated in the vehicle mode, the wheels are different. Everything else is the same. On the back, this is where the major differences show themselves. Obviously, you have the two different lower cab front ends, but because of the geometry on the Kingdom version, because this is an Earth truck, again, what I talked about earlier, you have this ladder for the Earth cab. And in order to create this geometry, they pretty much had to give him a big old butt flap compared to what was not there for Siege Prime. So, quick butt comparison between the two. There you go. And this does affect in Albino Prime mode, and a little bit in the Ultra Magnus mode as well, but Ultra Magnus is just so bulky, I'm not too worried about articulation. But in Albino Prime mode, this definitely does affect the articulation when you're kicking the legs back. So Albino Prime in Siege mode can give you one of those. Let's see if I can make him balance. You can do it, buddy. There you go. And in... Oh, he's down. And in the Kingdom mode, you're only getting that much. So it's a significant reduction in back kick articulation right there. Just something to note. Like I say, everything else is the same on these two guys. And Albino Prime is Albino Prime is Albino Prime. And for one last comparison here, for the Albino Prime, we'll bring in G1 Albino Prime. I just need to transform him real quick because I've got my G1 Ultra Magnus sitting over here, waiting to come out and say hello. So, there you go. And there. So now we can have the Kingdom Albino Prime, G1 Albino Prime, Siege Albino Prime. So there you go. There's your Albino Prime comparisons. Okay, so we will say goodbye to the Siege Albino Prime. Thank you for your help. I owe you a beer later. And we'll see you shortly. I'm going to go ahead and put you back in your Ultra Magnus mode. I guess I should leave that up. All right. Okay, so to get him into full Magnus, you're going to need to do a considerable amount of parts forming, but that's all right. The end result here, I think, is worth it. So you have these two stacks from vehicle mode. You just want to split those, take those, put those off to the side, come over here to the main trailer section here, and if you want, since you have this pulled up, you can go ahead and take his forearm cuffs, guards, whatever you want to call them, take those out, put those off to the side, and then you're just going to start untabbing your tabs here, here, and then back here. So you just need to start prying all those open. And then once you're right here, this small area right here is what's holding the rest of it together, so you're just going to split right here in the middle, and that comes off like that. And then you can just pull this part out. So now you have everything broken down into its components. And since I have this in my hand, we can go ahead and start. We can just do a fold here, fold this underneath, and then you have the Magnus upper body ready to go. And for the legs, it's a little bit of origami here just to get these, so if I don't get it right the first time, I promise you I will get it right shortly thereafter. But you take the trailer side, and you're just going to fold all this up, and you're going to make a 90 like that. And then you're going to fold it in like that, so it's basically double folded on itself. You're going to swing that around, and you have some slots here that go to these tabs, and squeeze them in, and you have one leg done, or one armored leg armor done. So come over here, you can do the same thing, do a little fold, do a little fold, and do a little fold, and swing that around, squeeze that in. You have the other leg completed, and now we can go ahead and bring Albino Prime in, and we'll start prepping him for Magnus mode. So not a whole lot that you have to do here. You just need to pretty much just fold those in and take this and push it down so it's now his semi-badonkadonk. And we can start with the legs. Legs, just line them up and slide them in. And you just get a press fit in there right there, and friction holds those in very nicely. Do the same thing on the other side. And now it looks like he skipped arm day. So then you can just take the stacks and slide the stacks on. And then you have these gray tabs right here. You just flip those up. And do the same thing with the other stack. Line it up, slide it on, flip that gray piece up. Now he's starting to get a little bulky on us. And let's go ahead and we'll do the big one here. We'll put mags on. Oh, you know what? I forgot to collapse his head. That wouldn't have worked very well. So you need to collapse the prime head in. So open the cab up, swing that down. And there you go. Now he's headless for now. Now on this piece, you have these two little tabs right here. You have a couple slots right there on the front of the cab. You're just going to line those up, squeeze them on, and then you're going to come back here, and you have these snaps right here that are going to snap right onto the spine, if you want to call it that. And then just press everything in. All nice and snug-like. And now it's time to go full Popeye on him. So you can just take these, the forearm cuffs, forearm guards, whatever you want to call them, and you can open those up, and then you're going to find the right arm, and you have these ports right here, and you have posts inside. Line those up, push it in, collapse those in. Do the same thing for the other side. And there you have Kingdom Ultra Magnus in his robot mode. And I liked him in the Siege version. I like him in the Kingdom version. He looks really good. He's a big, bulky, just a soldier. I mean, that's all he is, right? That's what he claims. He's just a soldier. And you know what? There's one thing that I missed. He is not complete, everybody. Shame on me for missing this. I have to give him his championship belt. So you pull this down, spin it around, close it up. Now he's ready to take on the world or Megatron and die helplessly while he's trying to open the Matrix. Whatever he does, whatever gets him through his day. All right, so let's bring him in for some details here. We'll take a look at that head sculpt, and there is something that I do want to show off on this head sculpt. Is he does come with light piping, which you can't tell a lot from my lighting right here, but let me illuminate the situation, and look at that. He just comes to life. That is fantastic. I am a fan of light piping. That's just good stuff right there. So, yeah. He just lights up. All right, so back to it. Look at that head sculpt there. He does have that real nice looking earth face now. He's less CG and more earthy. Really good paint apps in there. Silver face. He looks so stern and ready for battle, ready to serve. Got all this great molded in detail here. This is the same detail as you would see in the Siege. So the molding and everything here is all the same. The Siege is just a slightly different red than what you're seeing there. But this chest is all new. You've got that nice clear right there. I would have loved it if they would have figured out a way to be able to open his chest up for the Matrix, but alas, it's not the case. Either way, looks really good. And then come down here to his championship belt. Good detail there. And come down. These legs, like we said earlier, these are the same legs as the Siege version, just painted differently. I think they've got good pop here with that silver and that red. And come over here to the side. Again, those new wheels, those just look really nice. I like that so much better than the Siege wheels. And slightly different molding here. As far as I can tell, to the best of my knowledge, these are the same. The stacks are different, but these forearm armor is the same as in Siege. And from the back, even the back of the head looks pretty good there. Got all that detail there. He does have a smaller booty in this mode. It hinders him in the Albino Prime mode, but in the Ultra Magnus mode, I think it compacts up and it just makes him look better than the Siege mode, or the Siege version of him. And then you have all this detail back here. And there you go. So for articulation in the Ultra Magnus mode, you can give this guy some side to side. He does have some up and down. He does have full 360 if you want to do that. The shoulders can raise up that far. And then, of course, you can go all the way around with them. You do get right at 90 on your bicep rotation, or your bicep elbow bend. And then bicep rotation, you could go all the way around. And you do get wrist rotation as well. Now, he does have waist rotation, and so did the Siege. But the waist rotation here is a little bit different. So I'm going to go ahead and get those arms out of the way because I want to show this. So as he is right now, because of this new configuration back here, his waist rotation is limited. He's kind of locked in. However, if you take this section right here and just raise this up one click, two things happen. Number one, I think it gives him a slightly more robust look here. He just looks like he's just a little more bulked up, which is nice. And number two, it gives you the clearance that you're going to need in order to take that waist and go wherever you want to go with it. So really up to you. I like this version better. Per the instructions, this comes down and locks in. So he does have waist rotation if you want to utilize it. And at the hips, you can get him about that far. He's way more flexible than I thought a big guy should be. And as we saw in Albino Prime, he can kick forward this far, and he can kick backward about that much. Okay. He does have thigh rotation, and he can bend about that much at the knee. And as far as feet go, the only articulation that you get in the feet is the ankle tilt, and there is a good amount of that if you need to use it. So overall, pretty decent posability on this guy. So since we've already done the vehicle comparisons, we're going to go ahead and do the robot mode comparisons now, and then we will transform him back to his carrier mode, and we'll wrap it up and do some final thoughts. So we'll, just for fun, I mentioned him earlier, and I have to apologize. These were my toys when I was kids, guys, and you know, somewhere along the line, pieces get missing, things get lost or broken or loose. So I'm going to bring in my G1 Ultra Magnus, at least everything that I have of him. So there you can see him next to the headless, handless G1 Ultra Magnus from my childhood. And, you know, one thing to note, I didn't bring it up in the robot mode yet, is I love the fact that these guys are basically on rollerblades. When you bring their feet together, both of them, they can roll around. So, I don't know, just something that entertains me. But yeah, there he is against the G1 Ultra Magnus, or what's left of him. Next, we will bring in the Transformers Prime Ultra Magnus, so you can see how those two guys look together. And I always had a soft spot for the Transformers Prime. I thought the characters and what they did with the figures, bringing them out, I really enjoyed this line of toys. So he's one of my favorites as well. And next, we will bring in the Combiner Wars Ultra Magnus, which I thought was a great looking Ultra Magnus for his time. Get those two guys standing next to each other. Where are you going? Yeah, I think that looks pretty good. And second to last, and definitely not least, is the comparison, no comparison, Masterpiece Ultra Magnus. And yeah, he's significant. So there you have Kingdom Ultra Magnus next to Masterpiece Magnus. And one of these days I'm going to get around to doing a review on him as well. I have a ton of masterpieces that I need to get reviews completed on. So this won't be the last you see of him. Alright, let's grab you and bring you on out of the way. And I think I said it was second to last, and I was wrong, because we need to bring in a couple of other comparisons after we do this one. But I wanted to bring in the Siege Ultra Magnus so you could see the differences, and we can do a close-up here of these two guys. And basically, you know, what you're looking at here is a different head sculpt, different stacks. The chest is different. Of course, the championship belt here is different. And the legs are the same, they're just painted differently. And then you have, let's do it this way. I'll take this gun off so you can see. You have, of course, the different wheels. The molding is different here. And these are the same. Again, we talked about the stacks. The missiles are different as well. So here, let me do that, and I'll bring these in for a close-up. So this is Kingdom. This is Siege. So we'll take a look at Kingdom first. Try to keep my fingers out of the way. And then we will bring in the Siege. So you can see the difference between those two guys. Alright, let me put this back on. And we'll turn them to the back. And you can see what I'm talking about here, that this is just a different shade, two different shades of red, but this is the same mold. And then their badonkadonks are different. And you have slightly different molding down here. But yeah. So there is Kingdom versus Siege. Let's bring those two guys in so you can see the heads. Figure out a good way to do this. There we go. So you can see the difference in the head sculpts there. All right, and like I said, you know, he's holding his gun. That's a silver gun. This one is gunmetal gray. Otherwise, they're identical. The other thing that I noticed is that the Kingdom Magnus did not come with these weapons right here. So normally I just store those on the Siege Magnus's calves. But Kingdom didn't come with those. He just came with the two missile launchers and his rifle. All right, and then to give you a scale comparison to other figures in the line, here is Kingdom Ultra Magnus next to Siege Megatron and next to Earthrise Prime. Earthrise / Kingdom Prime. The Kingdom Prime is exactly the same thing. So there you go. There's the comparisons. Now what we'll do is I will transform him back into the car carrier mode so you guys can see what steps are required to do that. And we'll do some final thoughts and we'll wrap this thing up. I was doing my best to try to keep this review short. I know my reviews go long, guys. I appreciate you sticking with them. I don't blame you for fast forwarding through certain parts. But yeah, I have so much to say about these guys that I know I can get a little windy. So to transform him into his car carrier mode, you are going to start stripping him of all of his armor. So it doesn't really matter where you start. It's up to you, but I'm just going to start here with the forearm cuffs and pop those off. And I'll do the same thing here. Pop those off. And then I will take these gray tabs and pull them down. And remove the stacks. And do the same thing over here. Gray tab, pull it down, pull the stack. Take the legs off. Take the legs off. And now he just looks completely disproportionate. Uh-oh, he's down. I forgot to put the heel spurs out. So I'm not going to use them because I'm going to car carrier mode, but I just wanted to see what he looked like there. That's great. Okay, so you know, it just occurred to me that we didn't talk about the effects compatibility in his bot mode, but it's essentially the same as what you can get with the Siege. So let me get him transformed up, and then I'll do effects in both modes, the Siege robot and the Kingdom vehicle mode. So then you're just going to take this piece off, take that out of there, and while you have this in your hand, go ahead and unfold all of this. So that way you have basically a flying carpet with a Magnus head on it. And just set that off to the side. And for this mode, you're going to put him back into his cab mode. So those heel spurs that I just brought out, I'm going to close back up. And I'm going to kind of take his arms back, but nothing too major right now. Just enough to clear, and then I'm going to spin 180 degrees right there. Just for fun, I'm going to turn this back to the Albino Prime crotch plate so that way the next time I transform him to Albino Prime, it's already there. And once you have this spun 180 degrees, then you can bring this cab section forward, bring that in till it snaps, and then take these arms. You have tabs and slots there. Pretty standard Optimus Prime style stuff. And tabs and slots. Close those up. And if you want, do these fists whichever way you want to do them. If you want to have them down like that, which is kind of my preferred method, but it's up to you. And for the legs, you're going to bring the legs up. So don't make the mistake of putting these legs together down here. The reason I say that is because you have tabs right here that go to these little slots on the legs. And if you snap these together, you're not going to be able to clear those tabs, and it's going to cause you a little bit of pain. So bring those legs up and make sure that you clear that tab and that slot right there and get those in. And do the same thing on the other side. And then once you have everything lined up, then you can squeeze those legs together, and that's going to hold that cab together for you. All right, so once you have the cab together, just go ahead and set it off to the side because we have a lot of car carrier work that we need to do. So for the two stacks, just take these gray tabs that you were using earlier and fold them down as such. And now you're going to combine these two together. So you have, I get everything oriented, right? You have on one stack, you kind of have this female area, and the other stack, you have this male area. And you're going to slide that in, and that's going to hold this together as such. And then you can set that off to the side, and if you want, you can bring in Magic Carpet Magnus, and you can take these forearm cuffs and put the forearm cuffs on So you have posts here, ports there, and put these on. And just straighten that head out. Now you've got those put away, and then you come here to the origami legs and snap those open and unfold everything. And then do the same thing to the other side. Snap them open, unfold everything. And now you're going to take this Magic Carpet Magnus, flip him upside down, and now you have these tabs right here that are going to slide into that slot and a little bit into that slot. You can do this, it doesn't matter which side you start with. I'm just starting with this one because it was in my hand. So line those up, slide it in, and it is a nice press fit. It's good friction right there, so that holds that together really nicely for you. And if you want, you can put the other leg on, but I'm going to put this side together so I can have a more rigid assembly for the other leg. So on this, you have this port and this tab, and it's going to correspond to this tab and this little slot right there. So push that in, line it up, get that in on both sides, squeeze those together, and now I have a much stiffer sub-assembly that I'm working with. Makes life easier. And come over here and line everything up as you did the other time and squeeze that together, and then line all these up and squeeze all those together. So now you have your car carrier. You should be about right there. All right, next thing that you're going to do is take this little piece, and you want to make sure that the hollow areas are facing up. You want it oriented like this. You do not want to do it like that. The reason being is because that's going to misalign your tabs right here. You want it sitting like that so your tabs are up high. And when you put this in, it is going to spread these legs open a little bit, so just try to squeeze them all back together. Give that a good squeeze. Once you have that, now it's a matter of setting this down together. And before I get started, I'm going to show you. You have this slot right there, and then you have this little snap. I call it a snap, but it's two little slots, but it basically snaps together when it matches up to these tabs. All right, so those two slots are going to go here and here. And I'm going to do my best to hold this up in the air and do it on camera. Don't know how well that's going to work out. And not very well at all. So I'm going to just set it down. And I'm going to squeeze that slot in. And squeeze that tab in. Let me flip it upside down for a second. I got to get a better view of this, guys. It's not the easiest thing to show and try to keep on camera. All right, there we go. So I've got those two in, and then snap those together. Do the same thing over here, snap those two together. There we go. All right, so you should be in like that on both sides. And now you are in the home stretch. So you have these two, and again, it's not going to be the easiest thing to see. You have these two sections here and here that when you bring this down, it's going to basically fit right here and right here. So I'm trying to, let's see if I'm going to be able to get a good look. Kind of bring that in, slide that in, and it gives you a little snap. And there you have Kingdom Magnus back in his car carrier mode. All right, so let's go ahead and we'll put his accessories on him, and then we'll talk about effects, because the effects on this guy are pretty fun. All right, so now the instructions want you to put these missile launchers further back. I'm not doing that. It's Ultra Magnus. They should be closer to the cab. So, and then there you have the gun. All right, cool. So for effects compatibility, I'm going to bring both of these guys in because it's essentially the same thing for both modes. So first of all, the guns are the same. Now, I guess I could do it over here. I have my big boomer ready to go, which is the same thing that I used in my thumbnail. And you can just plug the big boomer in there, and then that, you've got a big old blammo that you can unleash on somebody right there. And, of course, if you want him holding it in his robot mode, you could do the same thing. So, whoa, hey. I know that was off camera. You guys didn't see that, but he just said, no, I don't think I'm going to hold it. So, let's try and get that up high. There we go. And stick that in a little bit more. So there you go. There you got a big old Ultra Magnus blammo. All right, and the missile launchers are FX compatible, which is really cool. So depending on which set of effects you have, which set of effects you want to use, you could bring in a couple different ones, and you could just plug those in like that. And you could have some serious missile launcher boom boom going on. And you could have the same thing going on over here. So you could have some Magnus versus Magnus boom boom action if you want to do that. So why not? That sounds like a good time. Sounds like somebody's going to get hurt before the night's over in that. And the one thing, I love it. I know I mentioned it in the Optimus Prime review. Although these smokestacks kind of suck and they're kind of in the middle instead of being out here. Oh my gosh, guys, these are FX compatible. Look at that. Yes, I love it. This is great. Makes it so much fun. And if you want to get super crazy, he's got ports right here. So then you can do this and you can get some just quadruple super turbo diesel exhaust effect action going on right there. Oh yeah. That's cool. Makes it so much fun. And, of course, you can move these around if you want. You give him a couple of those. Stay on there. There you go. And I just noticed, are these? I don't know why they would be. No, they're not. So they hit a couple little bumps right there. I was really hoping those would be FX compatible, too. I wouldn't know where we would be shooting fire from, but, you know, I get excited about effects. What can I say? And then, of course, you know, you do have various ports all over the trailer and the body where he could be taking fire. I mean, that very well aimed fire. I mean, that is dead center. So that's really nice. And, you know, of course, the Siege Magnus robot is essentially the same thing, and the ports are all the same. So you could do the same thing here, and you could just start blowing Siege Magnus up as well. So you could... I don't know, I already did something there. So if you want his gun taking a hit, I guess his gun could take a hit too, right? There's nothing written down that says you can't. And then if you don't have these guns on, you know, you can give him a blammo there. And then you could, you know, do something over here with the Kingdom Magnus. Oh, I just bumped my camera because I'm so excited. And do something like that and just biff, bam, bang, pow, kazowie, whatever you want to say. Kazowie, that's Warpath. He's coming in. Warpath might be... now things are just getting crazy. I'm going to Warpath that up, and then he's going to kazowie and boom. Yeah, there you go. That's... Oh, yeah. That's fun. Okay, now I'm just playing. All right, let's get Warpath out of here. Thanks, buddy. And, yeah, I talk to my Transformers. What? Don't you? That's weird if you don't. All right, let's move those out of the way. Oh, I did have one last thing. If you really, really wanted to have a little bit of fun, and because I had him sitting here, and a couple of days ago I did an Ectotron review for the Ghostbusters. There's only one spot on Ectotron to put a ghost, and I currently have Slimer on my vehicle mode. So, hey, you've got a little port right here. You could set Muncher down right there, and he could just be having himself a little party on top of Ultra Magnus. Why not? I say, why can we not do these things? There's nothing saying we can't. Let's just mix it up and get crazy. All right, so that's enough of that. All right, guys. So I'm gonna wrap this review up after I calm down. I think I ate too much sugar today. Anyway, my opinion on this guy is, like I said at the beginning, I thought he was just going to be a repaint of Siege Magnus, and I wasn't going to waste my time with him. I'm glad I picked him up. He's different enough. He's fun enough. He has that playability, and he does match in really well with the other Kingdom figures. I'm not going to bring all the other Kingdom figures in to do a family portrait because that is getting way too big now. It's too big of a family. But yeah, I think, particularly if you do not have the Siege Magnus, you're going to love this guy. I mean, you can't hardly go wrong with Ultra Magnus. Lord knows Hasbro has tried in the past. But yeah, pick him up if you can find him. I think you're going to enjoy him. I wouldn't pay scalper prices, but yeah, for the price point where they're at right now, I think it's $50 US. Yeah, this guy's a blast. There's just so much that you can do with him and so much playability there. So, in short, yeah, get him. I would recommend him. All right, with that being said, I'm going to wrap this review up. This thing got really long. Thanks, guys, for sticking around. My gosh, I can get windy with this stuff. Anyway, you know how it all goes. If you like what we do here, give us a like, hit that subscribe button, leave us some comments. We love to have the interaction there. We're on YouTube. We're on Rumble. We have a Facebook page now, so I'll provide the links in the description for all that. But guys, thanks for tuning in, and we'll be back soon with another review. Until next time, talk to you guys later. Take care.